Hello and welcome to Alternative Radio Cardiff. Today I'm here with James Kennedy, a rock musician all the way from Aberdare, and you can actually see him around in the brew house. But James, how are you doing? You all right?
I'm good. Thanks for having us, man. It's good to see you.
So me and James are quite intimate today. It's just me and him, as Nick and Tom are out doing other things. So we're going to talk about your new book, because you're a newly turned author, a couple of your tracks, and really sort of, your past, presents, and your futures.
Cool, man.
So, I want to just kick it off straight away and just sort of find out who are you and what have you done, previously up to this point?
Well, as you say, I'm a musician from Aberdare. I was born in Cardiff, so Welsh boy, Cardiff born, Cardiff bred and all that. Been on the scene for ages, man. I used to play in a band called Kaishira, which was kind of like a heavy alternative, progressive, political kind of three-piece. We were on the scene for about 10 years, did 3 albums, toured internationally, all that sort of stuff,
Anybody famous?
We were never famous. Well, the book is kind of about our complete litany of like struggles and failures and screw-overs and things like that.
And your book is called?
Noise Damage.
Right, Noise Damage.
So, so that was kind of all about like Kaishira, really, and like how we were sort of hailed as the next big thing to come out of Wales and played on Radio 1 and headhunted by major labels and all that sort of stuff. And then, from that point, of all that hopefulness and things, it was just slap down after slap down. We ended up having to sue people and, like we got signed to a label and then we had to sue the guy, and then now he's in jail for shooting somebody in Barbados and crazy stuff.
So is this your version of The Dirt?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Well, actually, when the day the book came out, it was higher than The Dirt by 1 place on the chart. So I got a screen grab of my book ahead of The Dirt because The Dirt was always on our tour bus.
Right.
So the bass player was a massive Crue fan, so we were always like swapping The Dirt back and forth on long journeys on the road. So it was The Dirt's always kind of like had a kind of place in our heart. So to see that our story was ahead of The Dirt in the chart on the day it came out was pretty amazing. Like,
I'm a massive Motley Crue fan myself, and just for anybody out there that's listening, The Dirt is the autobiography of Motley Crue and all their shenanigans going around on tour. So, turning the attention back to James Kennedy and your book, is there anything particularly exciting in there? You said there was a lot of swearing in the book.
Oh, yeah, well, I've written it very much like I talk, so I'm being quite well behaved so far today, but the book's got a lot of swearing and stuff in there, and just a lot of, references to lewd behaviour and substance abuse and things like that, all the typical stuff you'd expect in a book. But it's not, because we never really became big or anything like that. We were always the underdogs. So we got signed, but then they screwed us over, and it never went anywhere, and then we got a manager, and then he stiffed us, and that never went anywhere. So we were always kind of like, we had a lot of near misses, So the book is kind of like, it's got a lot of things in common with rock and roll memoirs, the drugs, the women, and the touring, and that sort of stuff. But it's pretty much mostly the story of most other bands. All my friends have been in bands.
So very relatable.
I think so, yeah. Like most people have related to it because it is the tale of the underdogs, and most of us are the underdogs. Like the successful artists and bands, that's like 1% or less than 1%. 99% of other bands have similar experiences to what's in the book. So I think it's quite unique in a rock memoir type of vibe because it's telling the story of all the other bands. We all know about the excesses of Ozzy Osbourne and Motley Crue and stuff like that, as awesome as they are, but there's so much like other stuff which people don't understand about what most non-famous musicians go through.
And that's one of the motives of Alternative Radio Cardiff. We like to get to know the people, the faces, the minds behind these struggles, these bands that are put together, and the trials and tribulations of getting up to a successful point. Now, the amount of talent that we've come across, including yourself, James, we're going to put a tune on in a minute, has actually just radiated that really there is no difference between those people that have made it and some of the absolute superstars that are just on the grassroots level.
Totally.
And everywhere you look, left and right, the stars are actually next to you rather than on the TV or on those radios.
You're totally right.
Like I said, that's what we tend to try and get to know those guys well, because also it's quite an easy pool to get into, isn't it? It's just like loads of real talent out there.
You tried Ozzy Osbourne, he didn't call you back, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I tried Ozzy Osbourne. Honestly, we've been particularly zealous, should I say. We've tried knocking on Catherine Jenkins' door. We've got people trying to get in a Charlotte church, but we won't stop. We will try. And
you'll get there, man. You'll get them.
And I think I was told that one of the producer's mum's friends from the shop knows Tom Jones or something. So we're like, well, what are we doing then? Let's get him on the show.
Get him down.
But back to you. So your style of music is quite rocky, isn't it? And the song we're about to play now, Autopsy, is quite politically charged, isn't it?
Yeah.
So talk to me about that. Where did the thoughts and feelings come from for that? And maybe touch upon your choice of genre and things like that?
Well, my choice of genre changes all the time. Like in Kaishira, we would, like I say, very alternative and progressive. So very hard to define, and that was kind of our kind of niche, you know what I mean? Lots of odd time changes and weird noisy bits and things like that. And then I also had a solo career that ran alongside the band, and that was where I sort of expressed the stuff that was different to what the band was doing. So it would be like acoustic stuff, electronic stuff, and kind of middle of the road singer-songwriter things. And then when the band kind of ended, like 2018, I released my new album, Make Anger Great Again, which was kind of my official solo.
Oh, sorry, what was it called?
Make Anger Great Again.
Make Anger Great Again. Okay.
So that's kind of like, even though it's my fourth solo album, it's my first kind of official solo album, because the other ones were like side projects alongside the band. So I sort of thought, if I'm going to launch myself officially as a solo artist now, I need to sort of pick a genre, you know what I mean? Because my other 3 solo albums are like all over the place. So I've gone back to like more closer to what the band was, which is political, heavy alternative rock, which is kind of where my
like the Akala of rock.
Yeah. I think that's what my heart is, you know. So I mean, I've always written kind of political music. Kaishira was always very political, and up until now, you know, my solo stuff was where I kind of express personal things and, you know, more that sort of stuff. But yeah, I mean, like when I wrote the album, I wrote it sort of late last year, like December, and recorded it February this year. And it was, I was just like looking at all this stuff in the news, like Boris, you know, and Corbyn and, you know, Trump and Brexit and all this crazy stuff that was going on. And I was like, man, you know, why aren't more people pissed off about this? You know, why aren't we like kicking off left, right, and center? And then, you know, fast forward a few months, but before the albums even come out, you know, like you've got Black Lives Matter protests kicking off, and, you know, all the sort of anti-Trump stuff kicking off in America and the riots and things. And it was almost like when the album came out right in the middle of all that, it was in some ways very well timed, because it was kind of appropriate for what was going on in the world, but it didn't benefit the album, because I got my first video for The Power, the first single, taken down from YouTube. YouTube took it down. Facebook wouldn't let me promote it online or anything like that, because they said that it was politically you know, it had a very strong political stance which could sway. I think Facebook said they couldn't put anything out that would sway the election or something like that, and they thought my song was going to do that. YouTube said that
so dampening free speech.
Exactly, yeah. And YouTube said that they deemed it shocking content or something like that, so they took it down. Bear in mind, there's no bad language in it, you know, there's no violence. I'm not condoning anything like that. It was just protest footage, really, and a kind of a typical revolution rock song, you know. So so it's kind of like
far removed from drill music, if you've ever heard of that concept.
Yes, very far, thankfully. So yeah, I mean, it's a strange one, man. In many ways, like when the album came out, everyone was like, "Oh, mate, you've timed this perfectly, because you've really captured the sentiment of the moment." It's like, yeah, but I wrote this 6 months ago, before all this was kicking off. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of strange, and it didn't really help the album.
Okay, well, I mean, without further ado, let's have a little taste of your music then. And this is Autopsy by James Kennedy.
Alternative Radio Cardiff, ARC FM.
Contracts, billionaires, pay no tax, the homeless, immigrants,
So that is Autopsy by James Kennedy, and we were actually just talking off mic then as well. You did all of that, backing, all the overlays, everything.
Yeah, man, yeah, all the drums, bass, instruments, vocals, everything.
So how was it put together? So you did you recorded the the screams on the screens and the.
All those, they call them gang vocals. All those gang vocals where you got like large crowds of people screaming. Yeah, if you got like not in the normal circumstances, that would be a band getting around a mic and doing like a couple of takes of everybody doing it. When you're doing it by yourself, you kind of do like about 50 different takes. You know what I mean? Just screaming at the mic from different.
But is that easier or harder than having somebody else do it? Because you kind of know what you want to get out of it, don't you? Maybe.
Yes, yeah, pros and cons. I mean, I do all the production as well, so it's easier for me because I know how every part of the process is going to fit in with the next part of the process. But I mean, yeah, you don't have any camaraderie, and also, you know, like you don't have anybody kind of like holding you, you know, keeping you within any boundaries.
Lots of musicians have actually turned around and said they miss the camaraderie with other musicians.
Yeah.
And that's probably one of our number one things that have been mentioned. I mean, what have you been doing yourself recently? Obviously, it's been quite a shit period through lockdown, but. What have you been up to yourself?
Oh, man, I gotta be honest. Like, I'm very un-rock and roll. I live in a detached house down the end of a long.
You're very un-rock and roll now.
Yeah. I've had to basically strip away my layers of rock and roll because I get too carried away with things. So as we were just saying before, you know, I'm teetotal. I don't drink anymore. I've gradually given up all my demons, and now I'm very, very boring. I live in a quiet, detached house on its own in the middle of nowhere. I'm very sort of reclusive. And I make all my records at home and everything. And so like lockdown hasn't really affected my personal life too much. As much as I hate to say it for everybody else that's struggling a lot, because I mean, nothing's changed for me. I don't miss going out to the pub because I don't go out to the pub anyway. I don't drink. I mean, my day-by-day life is very much the same.
Have you been doing much writing or getting out any new content?
Not really, because the new album came out in September, and then literally 3 weeks after, my book came out in October, which is just over a month ago. So, I mean, the first couple of months of lockdown were basically gearing up for the promo. And then, you know, ever since, it's just been promo. So, with the new material of the album and then promoting the book, and I just literally last week finished recording the audio book. So I've just been so busy with all that stuff. So,
you said that recording the audio book was quite tough, didn't you?
I found it really hard. Yeah. The publisher offered me the option of having somebody else do it, and I was like, nah, man, it's my book. You know, I want to tell my story. You know, and then after about 5 chapters of just like.
Were there any celebrity options like Sean Bean with a gravelling?
Man, I didn't even ask the question. I was like, no, I'm doing it myself. I don't care who it is. And then I was like, man, this is really hard. Harder than making a record, I found, because you got to like, I don't know, just reading out loud is hard. You know, like even though I'm reading my own writing. I just like getting the elocution right, and not mumbling, and not licking your lips or breathing too hard and all that stuff. I was like, Jesus Christ, this is actually really hard.
I know it's something we're not quite down with, and we're doing this radio station, so you'll always hear us licking our lips or stumbling over our words sometimes, and it's probably a little bit more intense for the books. But where is your book now at the moment? I mean, where can we go and get it, and how's it performing?
It's performing really well, man. Yeah, the press has been so good for it. You can get it anywhere you can get books. It's in Waterstones in Cardiff, in the music section. You can get it on Amazon, Waterstones online. You can buy it direct from my online store as well.
Which there'll be a link to on this video. If you want.
Thank you very much, good man. Yeah, so it's a physical book. It's physically available, and there's an ebook available as well, and the audiobook is coming out early next year. So anywhere there are books, it's called Noise Damage, My Life as a Rock and Roll Underdog. And if you know anyone that is remotely connected to the music scene, if they're in a band just starting out, or if they've been in a band 50 years ago, they will relate to this book. So if you're looking for someone to get that kind of guitar playing nephew or whatever for Christmas, then get them a copy of this. You'll be saving them a lot of future pain. Trust me.
Well, I'll definitely be interested in reading that book as well. So we'll talk after the show. But let's turn back to your music now as well, because we've got another tune for you, which is it Outrages? No.
Outrages.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So, talk to us about Outrages, which I think has got sort of Marilyn Manson undertones to it.
Yeah. So I was taking a swig of water then. Outrages is basically it's kind of like, I suppose, inspired by social media, where everyone, like, there's an outrage culture at the moment, isn't there? Where everyone is super angry and annoyed about something. You can't say anything online without just like this huge, massive backlash of general noise, basically. And Outrages is about that. It's about conspiracy theories. It's about the tell it like it is guys. It's about the easily offended. It's about everyone who's got so much conviction and certainty, and they're just hitting the internet with all this noise, and it's impossible to get any sense or truth on any issue anymore, because we're all just deafened by this constant like arguing online. So Outrageous is kind of about
like
that.
a white noise of facts, isn't it? You don't really know
white noise
believe.
of post-truth and fake news and everything else. And Outrageous was just me kind of like taking the piss out of that lot, basically.
Okay, well, here we go then. James Kennedy, all you again, isn't it?
It's all me again, mate.
Okay, all James Kennedy, and this is Outrageous.
Alternative Radio Cardiff, ARC FM.
So that was Outrageous by James Kennedy. So what's in store for the future of James Kennedy and his solo career?
Well, that's going to be very dependent upon the old COVID situation. But I mean, immediately, there was a tour planned, the full band, rock and roll, the full deal, heading out on a national or international.
What was that called?
It didn't even get past the planning stage yet. I mean, it's very much like, if touring becomes a thing again, then there'll be a tour. But it didn't get further than that. So it's very much kind of on the back burner. That was ideally, if there wasn't a pandemic, that would have ideally been the plan. But now it's still a plan, but it obviously depends on,
So you booked in to play out? Well, I guess you're not really at all, are you? Because live music's taking a right.
Yeah,
shoe
exactly. So yeah, I mean, normally you put like a record out or a book and do a book tour or a band tour. So that's been kind of weird, like promoting 2 releases and then not being able to do any public performances. So I've done a lot of live streams and things.
So you're itching at the seams to get out there and.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Got a kick-ass band. Just hit the road and maybe do some support tours and a national tour or something like that. Can't wait, man. It's been a long time coming. So that's the plan, but that's going to depend on the broader situation. So
and will you play at our events when we get going? Of course,
I'll play. I'll make as soon as we're allowed. I'll be playing everywhere they'll have me.
Good. Okay. And so your book's available in all the major Waterstones and everything like that, and you can get your audio book on what, Google Play, is it?
The Audible and all those places, yeah. Wherever there are audio. I don't listen to audiobooks, so I don't know where they go. But yeah, wherever there's audiobooks, they'll be on there. And you could probably download it off like, the file sharing networks or something as well. I think the book's already on there.
And any releases, any songs coming out at all?
Next year, probably, I've got like a load of like B-sides and covers and things like that, which have never really seen the light of day. So I think I've always been quite sort of precious about my Spotify kind of catalog. Like it's just the albums. But I think I'm going to throw all the other stuff on there as well. Like I've got like full album commentary videos and stuff as well, where I talk through track by track for each of my albums. I think I'm going to shove all that on there, all my B-sides, all my covers, and probably record maybe some more covers and things. In terms of my own original music, I think the next stage for me is just get on that tour, as soon as we can make that happen.
Fair enough. And you can always use our platform as well for anything you need in the future. So where can we find you then? So you said Spotify, Facebook. You said you're huge on Twitter, aren't you? How many followers or listeners?
Twitter, I'm on over 300,000.
300,000.
Yeah. 320,000, something like that. I'm very active on Twitter as a provocateur, I suppose you could say. Like I've been quoted in the Daily Mail for like slagging off Morrissey and things like that. And I made a comment about Johnny Rotten the other day, and that was quoted in the Poke.
What was the comment?
Well, he came out and supported Trump, and I basically like slagged him off for it. And then that blew up because I had all the old Sex Pistols fans coming after me. And then the Poke did an article with a picture of Johnny Rotten's face and my tweet next to it. so I keep putting my foot in my mouth, so I forget that like it's public and people.
But you clearly listen to, and you clearly like obviously winding up the wrong people or the right people.
Yeah, I don't know. So when you get that, you think, just poke the wasp's nest again, and see what happens. Like Piers Morgan's argued with me on there and stuff like that. So he called me a prick, which is nice,
Oh, there we are.
From him, that's praise. So so Twitter's my big one. But that's James Kennedy UK. It's the same handle on Facebook and Instagram, Snapchat, James Kennedy UK, and YouTube is James Kennedy Stuff. And Spotify, James Kennedy. There's 2 James Kennedys. There's a TV reality star in America who I quite frequently get mixed up with, but he's got like blonde hair and looks like a kind of reality TV star, and he's also a DJ, so he's got a page on Spotify. So if you go on Spotify, you type in James Kennedy and you get like techno music or something like that, that's not me. I'm the other guy with the leather jacket and the move.
And if you get confused, you can always re-listen to these songs and then go back into it.
Be like, hang on, that doesn't sound like the same guy. If you think it's not the same guy, it's not. It's the other dude.
Fair enough. Well, James, thank you so much for coming on to Alternative Radio Cardiff. We're going to be working together in the future as well, and you're part of the support, aren't you? So yeah, absolutely fantastic. More music from you, and you're going to check us an exclusive maybe of one of those things, those B-sides?
Yeah, definitely, man. Yeah, anything you need, I'm on board.
Brilliant, good. And it's glad to have your support, James. And thanks, and we shall see you again, mate.
Thanks for having us, man. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and best of luck with everything, man. And hopefully, I'll see you after the apocalypse.
Well, I think a lot of people out there are going to be seeing a lot of us. So look out for our blue and black signs that are out there.
Good.
Something big is coming.